we'll explore what fractal points are and their logic. First, let's start with the basic definition of this element. Fractal low is a three-candle pattern, where the middle candle's minimum is lower than the minimums of the first and third candles. Fractal high is the opposite three-candle pattern, where the middle candle has the highest maximum compared to the adjacent candles. Note that the minimum number of candles required to form such a pattern is 3. However, they can also consist of 5, 7, or even 9 candles. Many consider them stronger in terms of price reaction, but I would say there's no fundamental difference here, because that's not what really matters. If we display any fractal using regular lines, we will always get something that looks like the letter V with 3 main points. The first point is the beginning, or the candle opening. The second point is the movement extreme, which is determined after the fact and shows the place where the price was at its highest or lowest. And the third, final point, is the end, or the candle closing. A downward line indicates a price decrease, while an upward line indicates a price increase. From this, we can conclude that any fractal is a visual representation of those points on the chart where the balance between buyers and sellers has shifted. In other words, initially, the majority were selling a particular asset, indicating a dominance of sales volume. Then the majority were buying the asset, and vice versa. If you pay attention, during the formation of a fractal, you can often observe support levels, sell plus buy candles, and resistance levels, buy plus sell candles, which also indicate a change in balance. Let's look at examples from real charts. This is an hourly time frame, and in this situation we can observe that when the next candle appears, the price begins trading slightly above the opening level, but immediately falls down afterwards. 4 important levels were formed: the opening level, the bearish candle maximum, the closing level, and the minimum. The same process repeats 2 more times, and we can now identify a complete fractal low, which perfectly forms a V shape. Another candle closes, and we can already notice a fractal high, which also looks like something resembling an inverted V. Another interesting thing that formed quite nearby is when one candle simultaneously has both the highest minimum and maximum compared to its neighbors. Many beginners find it difficult to choose which one to focus on, but since the logic holds true in both directions, there's no need to choose. Consider it as it is. It's clear that everything depends on the time frames you're looking at, but this doesn't determine the logic itself, just the scale of movements. Here are a few more examples from different time frames. Fractal points have one very interesting function, providing liquidity to the market. This is related to the fact that various market participants' orders are always located beyond its boundaries, and when the price reaches them, we call this a raid, they simply begin to execute, which leads to increased volatility in this price range. The point is that nobody knows what types of orders are located there. If we take fractal high as an example, 2 fundamental situations can occur. At its level and above, there are more sell orders than buy orders, which will result in a reverse reaction and the price will fall down. This is a daily fractal high, where the price on the 4-hour time frame approaches it rather slowly and performs a liquidity raid from which it receives an immediate reaction and falls aggressively downward, indicating the presence of large selling volume in that range. And it absolutely doesn't matter whether it was there in the form of limit orders or if this volume appeared in the moment. We generally understand that this zone is interesting for sellers. In the other case, the volume of buy orders will exceed the sell orders, which will cause price acceleration in the initial direction. This is a daily time frame where there is a fractal high. When we look at how the price behaved when interacting with it on the 4-hour chart, we can easily notice that instead of sales volume domination and price returning lower, it actually received even more buying volume, which triggered acceleration and a raid of a higher fractal high. But that's not all. Since a fractal is a point on the chart where there was a shift in balance between market participants in the past, it's important to consider that when the price approaches these levels again, there is a fairly significant probability that additional volume may re-enter the market. This is determined by 2 hypothetical reasons. Some market participants simply find it advantageous to conduct operations at certain price levels. For example, they have a fixed price at which buying or selling occurs, thus creating a force imbalance. The second reason is the interaction of price with certain elements. For instance, the same liquidity raid where market players' positions were accumulated. Upon a subsequent approach, the volume will only increase, leading to a reaction and reversal. Here's an excellent example. On the 4-hour time frame, the price gradually corrects and makes a liquidity raid of the fractal low, from which it receives quite a strong reaction, and a new fractal low forms. For context, it's worth noting that this occurs within a bullish dealing range, and there is no order block, rejection block, or FVG on the daily time frame. On the hourly time frame, the price tests this level again, and after some consolidation rapidly receives buying volume, which indicates additional position building in this range by market participants. Here's another example that occurred recently with Euro USD. Since the price is inside a monthly bullish FVG and this zone is interesting for buyers, on the daily time frame we can see this type of compressive upward movement, where fractal lows are forming slightly higher than the previous ones each time, creating support levels and preventing the price from falling further down. Generally, this could be called a liquidity pool, but the logic still remains that the fractal shows those places where the market balance has shifted. How to use fractal points in your trading? In reality, this question is quite complex and requires a deeper dive into the topic, but there is basically just one main principle: trying to monetize price reversals from this element. Option 1. A fractal liquidity raid and waiting for a reversal, followed by receiving a confirmation signal for decision-making. Example: the price makes a raid on the daily fractal highs liquidity, and afterwards a 4-hour order block forms as a confirmation signal. A position can be opened from the broken support level, with the stop loss beyond the movement extreme. We set the take profit at these equal lows, resulting in a plus 1.8% gain. If you're familiar with the content on this channel, you might have heard me refer to the fractal point as a zone of interest, even though it's actually a price level. This is because we're essentially looking at how far the price went beyond the fractal levels, and then returned back, and as you can see here, this entire grey zone was interesting for the price. I hope this is clear. Option 2. Opening a position from the fractal level, provided there is additional context. The same location. On the 4-hour time frame, we can see that the price made a raid and a rejection block formed, which can serve as context. A little more time passes and we see a fractal low inside the rejection block, which can become an excellent entry point with local targets, such as equal highs, for example. The test occurs and the take profit is instantly reached, giving us plus 2.9%. I hope this video was helpful for you and could make your trading at least 1% better, since understanding at least the basic mechanics and how price can behave in different situations already opens up new possibilities for making more effective trading decisions, which over a lifetime will make you an absolute professional in this field if you truly want it. Test your new knowledge in practice, try to apply it to your advantage, and enjoy the process rather than the result. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like and write any comment so YouTube will notice this video. Additionally, you can check out my other channels such as Telegram, Instagram, TikTok, or private Discord community. All links will be in the description.